Hope you're having a wonderful day. And why the left must latch onto those values. Everything but. It's like when they bitch about the First Amendment, they're only bitching about the First Amendment because they want their First Amendment rights protected, but they could give a damn about people on the left having their First Amendment rights protected. I, myself, being on the left, yeah, for my own self preservation, I do defend free speech because censorship ends up backfiring against the left. And so I have to be consistent and support free speech, even free speech of people I might find the most vile. And so and repressive laws that might like, for example, flag burning. Yeah, I know. I mean, flag burning. I'm not the most super patriotic person around, but yeah, I could. Flag burning is offensive. But it takes a true test. It takes true conviction to support those offensive speech as possible. I despise racism to the core. I despise anti-Semitism to the core. White nationalists want to go and march down the street and they use the proper permits and everything, yeah, they have a right to march. If the far left wants to do that, they have a right to march. If if there is an American affiliate of ISIS and they're not breaking any laws, they just exist as ISIS, and they want to march down the street, preaching their garbage too, it's their right, and I would defend anybody's First Amendment right, no matter how offensive the speech is. Well, neoconservative Republicans, the Christian right in the Republican Party, and many corporate Democrats too, along with this, are cracking down on free speech right now with a law they're trying to pass nationwide called the Anti-Boycott Israel Act. I believe that's what it's called. Basically, it will criminalize BDS, boycott, dismissal, sanctions, and leading to up to 20-year prison sentence. I personally do not support BDS, and I have my own reasons. And I but I at the same time, uh, I think that boycotting that criminalizing the boycott campaign is ridiculous. And these same right wingers who beat their chest about snowflakes and left wing people trying to censor, they're for censorship themselves. They want to criminalize BDS. And these are the same people who will be like, you see these liberals, they're defending the Muslim, and all of that, and everything, and they're going to sit there and talk as much shit about the Muslims. You have a right to sit there and criticize Muslims all you want, and people who supports BDS who are not anti-Semitic, but uh, they have certain problems with certain policies by the state of Israel and wants Israel to abide by um, by human rights standards. And it's not anti-Semitic to say that. Um, it's no more anti-Semitic to criticize Israel than it would be anti-Islamic to criticize Saudi Arabia, which is, as far as human rights concerned, they're probably objectively there's no probably they are objectively worse. But the point I'm trying to make is that if the right wing feels like they have a right to sit there and criticize uh, Muslims and exercise their intolerance as long as they're not actually harming them, the Islamic community in the United States, it's their free speech right. And if you think that Israel is a piece of shit country and you don't like the way they treat the Palestinians, and you think that the BDS is the way to go, By all means, engage in your protest too. The free speech thing has to be consistent. It has to be consistent. And so, don't, when a lot of people on the left, there are First Amendment absolutists, I being one of them. And by the same token, I'm not saying that everybody on the right are hypocrites and claim to be against censorship but practice by default. Um, Again, this shit, it has a lot of nuance to it. And regardless of where you stand on the left-right divide, if you are in favor of the First Amendment, I got no issue with you. At least on that issue, we can be allies. That sort of constitutionality, we got to support, the left's got to support constitutional government and cannot be seen as being against it, because it will backfire on us. And by better, it means barring some very novel ideas from our Western allies across the pond. The whole, national health care, uh, the generous vacation time, generous retirement system, the high unionization rates. We'd love to be like Norway, Sweden, where 8 or 9 out of 10 workers belong to a labor union, that sort of thing. Those are novel ideas that we need to hear. America needs to be a vibrant social democracy, like they have in particular in Norway, Sweden, Denmark, but still pretty much any European country. My socialism in particular is more based on post World War II Great Britain. Prime Minister Clement Attlee's British Labour Party government is what I favor. I like that. I like what Tommy Douglas did as the Premier of Saskatchewan in 1944 when his cooperative Commonwealth Federation government was elected, being the first socialist government elected in the Western Hemisphere. Tommy Douglas's party, the Cooperative Commonwealth Federation, became the New Democratic Party of Canada as we know it today. But we got to support checks and balances, and sometimes democracy and representative republics, democracy, representative democracy, whatever, free societies have checks and balances. And freedom and liberty is slow. And sometimes we're not going to get what we want on the left, but the right's not going to always get what they want either. And you have to work within your limits. And if there's something you want to have address a human rights concern, and it's slow, but you got to go. If you need to change the Constitution, change the Constitution. It's difficult to amend it because it protects. It will protect the left, and it will protect. Just have a vested interest in defending constitutional governments. So we need to emphasize on being liberty minded. We need to emphasize on constitutional governments and appropriate limitations for our own self-preservation. Well, that's it for me for right now, at least on this video. I am Bernie Bro. Feel free to comment, good, bad, or indifferent. Remember, peace.